Sunday at 11 a.m. only on CNC3.
You know, it's time to embrace a new vision for a new time. As mentioned before the break, the conversation we are about to embrace, it's very meaningful. It deals with the region and our development as it pertains to us respecting nature, understanding our ecosystem, understanding that we have to honor and respect the environment. And these young people are lending their voice, lending their expertise, their creative brilliance, and adding to that conversation. Very important time we look at here in the region, and it's, of course, happening in Trinidad, in Guyana, in Suriname. These conversations are powerful ones indeed, and we welcome from the Cari-Bois. So like how you have Papa Bois? Well, this is Cari-Bois. And I was happy to get, the details there from Tyrell, who is smiling with us. He's to the bottom of the Zoom line. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. That's Tyrell Gittens, coordinator and editor of Cari-Bois. Good morning, Tyrell.
Good morning, Jason, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago and all your viewers.
And yes, good morning to you. And with us from Guyana, GT, our neighbors down south, Vishani Ragobeer, and she's a journalist, content creator for Cari-Bois. Great to have you with us, Vishani.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
The land of many waters. That's a place I want to start with, because when I go to Guyana, I am taken aback with the vast, just the land and the rivers and just the environment. I mean, I am an ecotourist. I'll consider myself an ecotourist. I love nature. And I know with the major developments happening now in Guyana, I could imagine that this conversation is a timely one to ensure that the environment and what you all are doing there, and through your content work and your creative ability to speak to preservation and for us to have that greater understanding. Vishani, just probably walk me through what you're doing out there in Guyana and how's the conversation going?
Yeah, sure thing. So like you rightly mentioned, Guyana is a really interesting place right now. Obviously, we're among the world's newest oil producers, but for years and years, for decades, for as long as I know and for as long as many of us can remember, Guyana has been recognized as the country known for protecting its vast forests. So some people see this as sort of contradictory, a country known for its environmental stewardship, now pursuing a prolific oil and gas industry, and that oil and gas industry is seen as a notorious contributor to climate change and environmental degradation. So a lot of the conversation in Guyana, as you would expect, is centered on how, if at all, the country can pursue these dual interests, the interest of remaining a low-carbon development state while now pursuing a prolific oil and gas industry. And just to quickly add something that I like to do. So I'm a journalist, by the way. I work with the newsroom in Guyana, and something that I like to focus on is the nuanced part of the conversation, where it's not just oil and gas is bad, Guyana should continue doing the good thing of maintaining its environmental stewardship, but it's also factoring things like Guyana's developmental needs and where resources might come from to fund those developmental needs. So I think I'll stop there and hand it back over to you.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get to continue that in a few. I want to welcome Tyrell, because you all started in 2020, Tyrell, as a national reporting initiative here in Trinidad and Tobago, 2.5 years after. Right? Well, 2 years and 1 month after, we are seeing over 100 stories, over 30 community-based citizen journalists trained on reporting the issues. It's been I would say, a fantastic rise. And I'm sure more will be done.
Yes, Jason. So the Cari-Bois Environmental News Network was started just over 2 years ago, as you would have mentioned, thanks to the European Union's CSO for Good Governance project, and we have been able to continue our incredible work thanks to Anson Merchant Bank and Answer Bank through the Caribbean Natural Capital Hub. So Cari-Bois is basically started as a tool to empower citizen journalists throughout Trinidad and Tobago to tell stories about their natural environment. But as you would have so rightfully pointed out earlier on, the topic about the environment and sustainable development isn't just limited to Trinidad and Tobago. So we found it fit to now take this initiative regionally to help empower citizen journalists around the Caribbean. It's all well and fine that we have the established media and scientists and so forth, telling stories about the environment and educating people, but the lived experiences of actual people living in the communities, telling their stories about how they interact with the natural environment and how different extractive industries and different industries affect their natural environment is also important to get that perspective as well. So this is what we have been doing at Cari-Bois Environmental News Network in Trinidad and Tobago. I know it's our goal to carry on that mission throughout the Caribbean and help empower citizen journalists around the region.
I know I'll come back to Vishani in a few, but I know there's also a connection in Suriname. Can you tell me about the Suriname Connect before we head across to Vishani?
Yes, great. So just like Vishani, we will have content creators and different journalists and creators from all across the Caribbean. So this month, I've been working with Vishani here in Guyana. I would have worked with also someone in Trinidad and Tobago and Belize, but in February, we'll have some stories coming out of Suriname, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So this is just some of the countries. Later on in the year, we'll be going to other countries like Jamaica and Barbados and really taking the initiative regionally, as I would have mentioned.
Well said. I'm really happy you all are doing amazing work. And Vishani, when we consider Guyana, again, I go back to me going there for the first time years ago, having a seat by the window in the Caribbean Airlines flight. And I'm just amazed now, because I'm landing in the day and I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, look at the size of this place. And, you just take it aback and you land on the ground and you recognize, it's so much greenery. Have you seen firsthand the impact of your work, the impact of your activism, your using your pen, using your voice to bring about awareness to certain concerns? Are you seeing a change in behavioral patterns with your fellow Guyanese out there?
Right. So I've been a journalist for nearly 7 years now. And as Tyrell can tell you, environmental journalism is not one of those sexy topics. So you're always finding ways of trying to bring people into the conversation, trying to affect that same behavioral change that you just mentioned. But I think in recent months, there's been some sort of changing momentum here. And let's say just last month, for example, in December, I'm not sure about your Trinidadian viewership, but we signed a very historic deal where we started selling carbon credits. So essentially, we're getting payments to continue protecting our rainforest, something we've done all the time. Now, when you say something like carbon credits, what's that? So I think what I've really tried to do in my reporting is to sort of make the conversation easily understandable by people. What is a carbon credit and how does this really impact you? And I think last month, we really needed to step up to the plate and really show people why these efforts are important. And I think, I wouldn't want to toot my own horn or whatever, but I'd like to imagine that we've been trying our very best to include people in these conversations, to bring them in, to help them understand why is it very important that Guyana is doing what it's doing, but also why it's important to understand why Guyana is trying to also achieve its low carbon balance with oil and gas development.
Yeah, striking that balance, as it were, because yes, development is favorable. It will benefit Guyana. Right now Guyana is the place everybody's looking towards Guyana and looking at the development there, but at the same time, one must preserve and protect the natural environment, the environment that I enjoy. I go back to telling you, I was taken aback because we have rivers. Tyrell can tell you, we talk about rivers, but I've seen rivers when I went to Guyana. That is river. That is river out there, my friend. Tyrell, how can folks get involved? Where can they go to read these stories, watch the content, to just stimulate and spread the gospel that you all are bringing forward concerning preservation, eco protection? Where are we going to find Cari-Bois?
Yes, so I encourage everyone to check out our main website, which is cari-bois.org. I see it there on the screen. Or check us out on all social media platforms, Cari-Bois Environmental News Network. And as Vishani would have pointed out, you know, the topic about the environment is for everyone. So yes, we will have stories by established journalists like Vishani, but we welcome everyone to get involved in Cari-Bois. Very soon we are going to put out a call to encourage anyone who has ideas about how to tell. It could be written stories, video stories in their communities, to get in touch so we could work with them to get those stories out. At the end of the day, the issue of sustainable development is one that affects everyone throughout the entire region. And again, that lived experience and the voice on the ground is what we want to help empower and add to the conversation about how we are going to develop more sustainably as a region and move forward. Because all throughout the Caribbean, whether it's in Guyana with their new oil and natural gas industry, or Trinidad and Tobago, with our established natural oil and natural gas industry, or even up the islands where, you know, they developed heavily, depend heavily on fisheries and tourism. We want to ensure that the conversation is centered around sustainable development and sustainable resources.
Well said. Hey, Tyrell, I want to thank you for the time this morning. Vishani from the land of many waters. Great logging in and touching base with you this morning. I love the connection. I love the collaboration, as it were. And let's continue with this conversation. All the best.
All right, thanks, Jason. All the best.
That's right. Great stuff indeed. We're going to take that pause and wrap things up. On a lighter side, now my good friend is here with me to touch base. We're not really going to deal much with cycling. I mean, we could probably talk about that for a few, but he is definitely doing his deep dive into his newfound passion of music. It's always been part of him, and he was able to awaken that particular musical vein during the lockdown, and he's here with us to touch base. Mike Phillips joins me next live on set, right here on The Morning Brew.